Mikel Arteta has finally made up his decision on planning for a life without Thomas Partey at Arsenal. Who is reporting this story? Credible journalist coming in through from the Daily Mail. He's Sammy McBall. If you remember him in the summer transfer window, he was really accurate, especially when it came to the deal of Declan Rice that really put very many Arsenal fans on tenterhooks, because teams like Manchester City had gone ahead, obviously made a bid that was more than that of Arsenal, and Arsenal had first made a bid of 80 plus 15 million pounds. Man City went in through with 90 million pounds plus 10 million pounds of add-ons, and Arsenal really went ahead to break that. Man United had gone ahead to inform to keep them abreast. They informed West Ham that keep us abreast onto the ongoing situation at the side of Declan Rice's transfer. And finally, Declan Rice went ahead to obviously sign for Arsenal. And Sammy McBall was really at the center stage of the transfer window. We are discussing Onana joining the list of players that Arsenal believe are going to obviously replace Thomas Partey. Right? Then we are having Muller. Do you know Thomas Muller, who has been at Bayern Munich for his entire football career? You know, World Cup winner, Champions League winner, I think twice with Bayern Munich, Bundesliga very many times, infinity times, you cannot even count them. He has come out and really renewed his contract. Obviously going to bring you the synopsis of the entire process of how Thomas Tuchel went ahead to convince him to obviously renew his contract, and I'm going to let you know what's the duration of the contract at the side of Thomas Muller and Bayern Munich. And lastly, we are going to close it up with the manager that has gone ahead to be sacked. Steve Cooper, Nottingham Forest, has been sacked. You remember the first video I did today, I really went ahead to hint about it, that this guy might be sacked and shown the exit door in the Midlands, and he's no longer the manager of Nottingham Forest, and Nuno Espirito has gone ahead to travel to England and is going to be he's going to be announced as the new manager for the Nottingham side. So thank you very much for watching through. I really love everyone, and I really feel okay that you guys are really in here for us, and I love every bit of everything that you guys have gone ahead to put up. We love the work that you put in through. We thank God for the gift of life, and may the living to God bless you abundantly. And I'm here to obviously bring you the stories as they come, because you guys are really very important to us, and no one will ever stop us from really bringing you the stories as they go on. And don't forget to really smash the like button, comment and share, and I think you're ready for the stories in here for you, right? Are you ready? Are you ready for the stories? All right, let's get going. And it's none other than Sammy McBall confirming to us that Arsenal are already planning for a life without Thomas Partey. Aston Villa midfielders Douglas Luiz and Jacob Ramsey are highly rated by the recruitment staff at Arsenal. Yao Paulinho is another one who is under consideration. Everton owner's Amadou Onana is being watched closely. Guys, Amadou Onana being watched closely, you know, by the side of Arsenal. And guess what? Let's start it off from where Sammy McBall commenced it from. Arsenal are already planning for life without Thomas Partey. Do I believe in such a story? I 100% do, because you can't be a player earning £200,000 a week and not being available for the club. That is the worst bit of it. You have to be available. That is, if you're not available, then you cease to make sense at the club, however good you are. I support Man United, but there is one of the talented players that we're having at Man United known as Antoine Martial, but he's never available. Every time the manager needs him, he's nowhere to be seen. So if you are nowhere available, every time the team needs you, then you cease to make sense, and your availability or your presence doesn't really benefit the club of Arsenal. And let me show you why Arteta and Arsenal are already planning for life without Thomas Partey. Let me show you. This season only, Arsenal has gone ahead to play 6 games in the Champions League, right? They've gone ahead to play 17 games in the Premier League. Those are how many games? 23 plus 2 games in the Carabao Cup. Those are 25 plus the one they played in the Community Shield, 26 games. Now, out of 26 games, let's see how many games has this guy gone ahead to miss and how many has he gone ahead to play for Arsenal. Now, on the 2nd of September 2023, October, Thomas Partey was out for 31 days because he had a groin injury, and he returned on October 3rd and he missed out on 7 games. Remember, Arsenal's going to have to play 26 games this season. Now, after his return, he went ahead and played for Ghana, 2 games, 20 minutes for Arsenal versus Manchester City. When he returned, as Arsenal were going to Sevilla, he sustained what we call a hamstring injury. That hamstring injury happened on the 9th of November, and it has kept him out till now, though we saw him really trying to really work out his way in the gym, but it's really not confirmed that he's set to return over the weekend as Arsenal plays against Liverpool, and he has been out for 52 days. He has gone ahead to miss out on 11 games. So Arsenal has gone ahead to play 26 games. Thomas Partey has gone ahead to miss out onto 18 games, meaning that he has been available for only 8 games, So a third of the season has been played and this guy is nowhere to be seen. That's why I really agree with Sami Mikbo that Arsenal are planning for life without Thomas Partey. And if I told you an elite manager, you really have to regret. Sometimes they say, I wish I knew he's a mot of the fool, but I don't. It sometimes really gets you from the benefit of, or gives you a benefit of doubt that all what I think about this player is really, really, really false. It's a falsehood, and I'm hoodwinking myself that Thomas Partey will obviously become the player that I want. And for Mikel Arteta, it's really what is gonna really piss him off, and that's why he's planning for life without Thomas Partey. And he's 100% right, because you need to be having a player who is readily available. If Thomas Partey was this kind of player who was earning like £80,000 a week and was not a dependable player, then it would have been okay. No one would have gone ahead to get bothered, but he earns a lot of money. And remember, Arsenal were not in the Champions League and was earning £20,000, meaning that, he was earning £200,000, meaning if they qualify for the Champions League, there might be a 25% increment, and he might be now earning £250,000 or £260,000 a week. That is Thomas Partey for you. And that doesn't really bring what we call financial value for money, because he's not really or readily available when he's needed. So that's why Arsenal have gone ahead to really look at Douglas Luiz. I've gone ahead and we talked about Douglas Luiz, and his story is really coming out through that Arsenal have gone ahead to obviously get money to purchase him. The other two that have gone ahead to come into the mix are Jacob Ramsey. Jacob Ramsey is really a very good player that plays at Aston Villa. He really looks good. Very, very young and talented. And I don't think that Aston Villa can fail to sell if at all you obviously bring and give them money. As I told you, Aston Villa has 3 players that are worth £100 million plus, and Jacob Ramsey is really one of those that I'm adding onto the queue, because the first thing I talked about was Douglas Luiz, and I told you the asking price that I had to put on him, £112 million. Ollie Watkins is also worth £100 million, though Aston Villa haven't gone ahead to put out the price tag for this guy. Then the other guy that is worth that amount of money is going to be Moussa Diaby. In the summer, if at all any team will go in for Moussa Diaby, Aston Villa will always want £100 million, because they went ahead to sell Jack Grealish for £100 million, yet he was not performing at levels that these players are really performing at the side of Aston Villa. The fourth player is Jacob Ramsey. Jacob Ramsey, talented, this is the new breed of English players that have gone ahead to obviously be shown what the modern game of football is all about. And Jacob Ramsey, he's just a force to reckon with, and Arsenal might obviously go in for him. But out of those 3, out of those two, Jack Bramsey and Douglas Luiz, there is a monster known as Amadou Onana. And it has been broken that Arsenal are being, Everton's Amadou Onana is being watched closely by Arsenal. This guy, when you look at him, you might really think that he went ahead to obviously reach his age, but he's still young. Young player. He's 22 years of age, right? 22 years of age. He plays in the midfield. He can play as a CDM. He can play in the double pivot. He can play as a central attacking midfielder. And this season, he has gone ahead to play 4 games in the Premier League, 1 goal and 1 assist. You know, that is him. No, this is the EFL Cup. They've been knocked out today. He has played 4 games in the EFL Cup, scored 1 goal, 1 assist. Premier League 13 games, 1 goal, 0 assists. That is Amadou Onana. 2 goals so far. And if you really see his talent, you obviously agree with me that if he comes in at Arsenal and he plays in that midfield or replaces Thomas Partey, he'll be really a colossal force to reckon with in that midfield. That means Arteta will be like 1 player away from really accomplishing the midfield juggernaut in Arsenal, because this guy is energetic. He's tall. His physical abilities are really undoubted. You know, what shows that a player is really quite the worth and quite the interest from the team like Arsenal is other teams looking at him. Manchester United are looking at the player. Arsenal are looking at the player. Chelsea are looking at Amadou Onana. You know, Newcastle are looking at Amadou Onana. Liverpool are looking at Amadou Onana. So it shows you exactly what this guy is all about and why it's right for Arsenal fans to be excited about Amadou Onana. But Thomas Partey has to first pave way for this guy to leave. And I think it's going to be a very huge risk for the side of Arsenal, right, to stay with Thomas Partey in the January transfer window, because you would have gone ahead to limit your chances of performing better. Still in 3 competitions, FA Cup, Premier League and the Champions League. What if Declan Rice gets an injury? You know, how are you going to line up? You get? I know Jorginho is available, but you cannot play Jorginho 2 games a week. That means you need to be having another player to do the job. So I will know that in the camp of Arsenal, they've gone ahead to really admit Thomas Partey aren't really going to do the needful for us this season. He won't be available every time we need him, so we need to get in another player. And he's not an injury-prone player. That is Amadou Onana, and that will be a topic for another day. But the other key factor that most of you need to note in this video is that Thomas Partey, right? Sorry, Douglas Luiz is worth £100 million, right? But Amadou Onana is half that price. That's what you need to know. That Amadou Onana is half that price. Amadou Onana is half that price, because at £50 million, Everton will be willing to obviously sell him to Arsenal. You get? They'll be willing to sell, because last summer they are really willing to sell him, and it said they want to sell, you know, they want to sell him to see to it that they obviously bond themselves out or bail themselves out, you know, from the situation in which they are into. And when you look at Amadou Onana, he was signed for £33 million, and if at all they can get like 27 or 17 million pounds, they are willing to obviously sell this guy. And £33 million, if Arsenal can pay £60 million for him, that means Everton would have gone ahead to make a profit of £27 million. And if at all they're having Idrissa Gueye with them, Dokore and James Garner, that midfield of theirs is really strong and doing well. So let's leave it at that and see how everything is going to pan out for this deal of Thomas Partey and Amadou Onana. Now let's go to Bayern Munich. It was like a day or 2 days before when we got a story from Fabrizio Romano that Thomas Tuchel spoke to Thomas Muller directly and told him he wanted him to stay. Muller accepted Bayern's offer and will sign a new deal until 2025. So that's what Fabrizio Romano went ahead, obviously put out. I think it was around the 18th. So today, we've gotten story coming in from Christian Falk that Thomas Muller has extended his contract with the same salary, no pay cut, at Bayern Munich. And there comes in a story confirming it from Thomas Muller himself, holding a shirt until 2025. He has said, "I'm happy that my journey at Bayern is continuing. I want to do my part to ensure that we remain successful as a team and as a whole club. I want to surprise our fans with goals, assists, my love for the game, and hopefully with many more titles." That is Thomas Muller for you. And to me, he's really a very technical guy. Not all that talented. Doesn't have a very huge skill set, but his talent is so much immersed into what he does when he gets the ball. You know, he doesn't do a lot on the ball, but he's that kind of player that you'll need to obviously create space for your team, especially in those late runs in the 18 yards box area. He has been doing that for a very long time at Bayern Munich, you know, at Germany national team, and he looks like he's strong and is going to have to keep himself in shape. So wait and see how he obviously does that, but they want to win the Champions League this season. Something I believe it's hard with that central defense of theirs. They find a very threatening side, it can easily open them up. Now, lastly, as we sum up today, it's confirmed Stephen Cooper has been sacked, and Nottingham Forest have gone ahead to put out an article that read, Steve Cooper has today been relieved of his duties as head coach of Nottingham Forest following a spell of over 2 years in charge. Cooper departs the City ground, having played an integral part in Forest's return to the Premier League, cementing himself firmly into the club's rich history after guiding the Reds back into the England's top flight. Appointed as a head coach in September 2021, Steve galvanized Forest's extraordinary race up the championship table and into the playoffs, culminating in a memorable win over Huddersfield Town at Wembley Stadium in May 2022. He then went to manage the team for 55 Premier League games, and he has been fired. The owner, Evangelos Mariankis, has said everyone at Nottingham Forest would like to thank Steve for his superb contribution to our club football. His achievement is guiding Forest back to the Premier League will undoubtedly remain an iconic moment in the club's history. We thank Steve for his dedication and commitment during his time with us, as well as the incredible connection he forged with our supporters and the city of Nottingham. Steve will always remain a friend of the club and will forever be welcome at the City ground. We wish him well in his future endeavors. The club will make a further announcement on the appointment of the new coach in the due course. And we know who the new coach is going to be. That is none other than Espirito Santos, formerly Tottenham Hotspur manager, Wolverhampton. And you really fear a little bit if at all he comes in through the Premier League, because the players at Nottingham Forest are quality players, and they're really having a budget to back him in this winter transfer window. So wait and see how that pans out, but it's going to be announced tomorrow as the new manager of Nottingham Forest. Your reactions to Partey leaving, Onana coming in through, are welcome in the comment section below. Then Thomas Muller's new contract until 2025 at Bayern, was it called for? And lastly, what do you make about the firing of Stephen Cooper? May the living to God bless you abundantly. Rokani David remains my name. I sign out for now. See you later, and I cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Rokani David is my name. The Muslims Barakallahu Fikum. We call it a day. Bye-bye.